Hi there, I'm Renato. Thanks for clicking on this video. You guys lucked out because I had a cancellation, so I thought I'd talk to you. With this microphone setup, I just casually have this microphone set up in my salon. I wanted to have a little discussion about why I enjoy cutting hair dry as opposed to wet. I'm not saying that cutting hair wet is wrong, and I'm not saying cutting hair dry is superior. I'm just inviting you to think outside of the box and try something new and maybe understand the medium of art that you work in a little bit differently than you have been. Think about a client out living their best life. Is that client's hair wet or dry? It's probably dry. So why would you do a haircut based on the hair being in a state that the client doesn't wear it in? Make it make sense. When a client says, I want the longest part to be right at my collarbone, or I want my bob to just be brushing my shoulders, or I want my face framing to start right at my chin. The accuracy you will get if you cut the hair dry as opposed to wet, insane. And as an artist, you should be pretty in tune with the medium of art that you're working in. So when I lift dry hair, I can see how strong it is. I can see at what point volume will start springing back up into it. I can see the wave pattern of the hair. I can see at what length the hair is curling in as opposed to out. I feel like seeing it dry helps me visualize that. The second a client gets shampooed, conditioned, brushed out, and sectioned, I lose all of that information. Also, the hair stretches when it's wet, so that means that the hair is going to appear longer than it really is than when you style it. So we're kind of taught to overcompensate for the length that we're going to lose when the hair dries. So now you're overshooting your haircut to hope that it shrinks up to the right space. I know we're all taught to cut hair wet, but we've been lied to, okay? What? The only benefit I see of cutting hair wet is that it doesn't fly all over the place when it leaves the head. That's pretty much the only benefit. When the hair's dry, I can see exactly what needs to come off of the hair. If you cut the hair, the second the client sits down in your chair, the client is going to have a very clear idea of what their haircut's going to look like when they do it at home, when they let it air dry, and what their hair is going to look like when a professional is not blow drying it to high heaven. Unfortunately, we've come to the part of the video where I have to myself out for likes and subscribe. So if you've made it this far in the video, please hit the like and subscribe button. I love and appreciate ya. A really cool and fun thing that happened recently was that my salon sent me to New York to take a hair cutting and coloring class through Goldwell, and that was taught by Zachary, Jarid, and Clare Edith Malarkey. They own a salon in New York. Zachary does color and Clare does cutting. The class was basically about a holistic approach to hair cutting and coloring.
We've really mastered how we can both use our specialties to approach hair holistically.
This class was super helpful for me because I do both cutting and coloring. The fun thing about this class was that they both had a model that they were working on. Zachary was doing color on someone who had already gotten their haircut, and Claire was doing a haircut on someone who had already gotten colored. At the end, they were both done, and they both had their haircut and color. The interesting thing was that Zachary had all the freedom to just highlight whatever hair he wanted, and he could see like his placement, where he was gonna get the most like bang for his buck by, you know, high impact color placement, all that good stuff, right? And then Claire was doing the haircut and the texturizing based on the color placement. But for them, they don't have a choice, where usually the color's happening first, they get shampooed, and then they are in her chair with wet hair. And I think she also does a lot of razor cutting. Razoring wet hair just obviously is where it's at. During this presentation, I asked Claire if they have a preference in which order they provide services in. And Claire said, in an ideal world, the haircut would happen first, and the color would happen second. But because of time restraints, it's just not possible. If you are in charge of coloring and cutting the client's hair, then you totally do have the luxury of cutting hair first and then coloring second. I get it. You color the hair first, you shampoo it, and then it's wet, and then you're ready for a wet haircut. If you cut it first, you have less hair to color, and also you can place your highlights and your balayage and your lowlights wherever the you want, because you're not worried about it getting cut out of the hair later on, and you're not worried about putting a bunch of product on hair that's going to end up on the ground. Also, in general, I find that like sitting in public with wet hair is not the most glamorous feeling. If you cut their hair dry and then shampoo them, you're washing all of those hair clippings out of their hair. Their hair's only wet for like 5 minutes, and then you just start blow drying it immediately. Right? Like, does that not make sense? You're saving so much more time, energy, and product by cutting it first, because now you don't have to shampoo, condition, apply product, and blow dry hair that's going to end up on the ground. 10 out of 10, highly recommend cut the hair dry.
I'm not saying that cutting hair wet is wrong, and I'm not saying cutting hair dry is superior. I'm just inviting you to think outside of the box and try something new.
We've been lied to. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. That's pretty much the only benefit. You're saving so much more time, energy, and product by cutting it first.
Cut the hair dry.
Anyways, that's all I have to say for today. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I will see you guys in the next video, alright? Take care. Bye.